In order to start our squares, we work with a magic ring or magic circle, or a double magic ring, double magic circle. For the magic circle, we make a crossing like that. So you've got your yarn, you cross it over your fingers, insert the hook, pull the yarn through, twist the hook so that you've got a loop here, grab the yarn again and pull it through the loop. Then we let go so that you've got the loose tail on the non-working hand. We pull it a bit tighter, we pull this knot a bit tighter, and then we can start with either with a chain 1, like some people like to do, and I like to start with a looser chain here. We single crochet into the ring, chain 2, the second time, chain 2, single crochet into the ring, chain 2, and one more time, single crochet and chain 2. Now we pull the ring tight, grab the tail and pull. Pull a little bit tighter so that the hole is closed, and then we slip stitch into the first single crochet we made. I like to work away the tail by just letting it go around behind the work, so I don't have to weave it in later, and leave this slip stitch quite loose because it replaces the single crochet that is underneath. So that is the magic circle and round 1 into the magic ring for our wrapped in jammies squares. If we want to start our wrapped in jammies squares with a double magic circle, we grab the yarn, and instead of making only one loop around the fingers, we make 2 loops around the fingers, and then we cross. We insert the hook, grab the yarn, pull it through and twist the hook, so you've got this loop here. We grab the yarn again with the hook, and then by turning your hand and pulling the hook through, we create that closing knot. Make sure not to twist like I just did. What we need is to keep the ring open to start with, and later on we will close it, so we will make it a little bit smaller so it's easier to work into the ring. And I'm also pulling this knot here a bit tighter. Okay, so this is pulled tight. Now I leave a loose chain and I work a single crochet and chain 2, another single crochet and chain 2, a third time, and make sure to work over those 2 loops and the tail. It's very important. So that was number 3, and the 4th single crochet and chain 2. So now we pull on the tail to see which one is closing, and then closing first, and then we take this one that has started to close first, and pull so that the other ring, the other loop, is closing first. It's a bit fiddly. So now our first loop is closed tightly, and now I grab the tail and close the second loop. And just like I like to do with the magic ring, when I close or when I work around the square now, I like to incorporate this tail. So I just slip stitch into the first single crochet that we made, grabbing all the yarn, and then when I continue to work, I just leave the tail in the back and work over the tail, so I don't have to weave it in for a few rounds. So that is the double magic circle and round 1 of the squares done. For round 2 we begin with a chain 1 and a single crochet, chain 2, single crochet in the first of the corners. And you see I'm just leaving my tail and work over the tail. Then in that one single crochet, and then again single crochet, chain 2, single crochet into the corner, again working in the next single crochet, oops, in the corner, and then one more time in the single crochet, always working over the tail, and the last corner, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet into the corner. And now our last single crochet, and to close the round we skip this chain 1 that we made when we started the round, so don't mistake this for an extra stitch. We skip the chain 1 and then we go directly into the first single crochet of the starting corner and close with a slip stitch. Make this slip stitch quite loose. You see we've got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 plus the chain 2 corner spaces on each side. This slip stitch replaces the stitch that is below, which was the first starting corner. So this will be the last stitch of round 3 then that we work into. In round 3 we make 1 single crochet into each single crochet from round 2. But first we start with chain 1 and the corner, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, and then we had the corner single crochet and this 1 single crochet in round 2. So now we have 3 single crochet on each side in which we work into, plus 3 plus the single crochet from the corner and then a chain 2, and then we're on the next side. So single crochet into the corner, 3 single crochet, and then the corner single crochet into that corner space, chain 2, which creates the next corner space, and then another single crochet into the corner and 3 single crochets on the side, and again the corner, chain 2 and single crochet in the same space, and the last 3 single crochet, 1, 2, and the third. Now when you close, I want to show you on this side, this can easily be mistaken for a stitch, for a single crochet, but this is the chain 1 with which we went up into the next round before we made the single crochet into the corner space. So we skip this chain 1 and we slip stitch directly into that single crochet from the corner. So that is round 3. In round 4 we're going to work into the first single crochet we made. See those single crochets from round 1. So if you have difficulty seeing or finding it, I recommend marking them with a stitch marker. So just put that into this stitch. Oops, there is one thread. There we go, like this. And then it's easier to work into that stitch later on. Okay, we start with a chain 1 and the corner into that space, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, and then our first stitch would usually go into this one, but we're going to work over this first stitch with a split spike stitch. And in order to split it, I have to take this one out, and we're going to insert the hook in the middle. So we split the single crochet that was made here, which means on the back side our hook will appear under the third loop. You see this little bump? So we go into the stitch, we split the stitch, and on the back side the hook will appear under the bump, under the third loop. This is the third loop here. So now you leave the yarn quite loose, you pull it up to the height of the hook of the loop that is already on the hook, and I want to grab this next stitch to make it a bit easier to work into that, and then we close it with a chain just like a normal single crochet. So we worked over this first single crochet, and our next stitch is a single crochet and then 2 more, so 3 single crochet, and then again we've got a split spike stitch, and it again goes in the same place where we made the first one. So we pull the loop up to the height of the loop that is already on the hook, and then we close, and that is worked over this last single crochet here. So our next stitch goes directly into the corner. So that is one side in round 4. So we've got the split stitch, then we've got 3 single crochet and a split stitch again. Remember, those stitches are worked over the first and the last single crochet, so we've got 5 plus those 2 single crochet, so that's 7 stitches on each side, starting and ending with a split stitch and 3 single crochet in between. So repeat that on the other 3 sides and then close with a slip stitch into the first single crochet of the corner. I'm going to do one more side with you. So that's the corner, and our first stitch is the split spike. So here we've got the single crochet, and we've got the, where is it? Here we've got it. So it helps to know that the hook will appear under the 3rd loop. So there we go. So that is under the 3rd loop. And I pull this to the side. So this is the stitch we work over. So I'm going to grab and hold the next stitch. It'll make it easier to find again. Close like a normal single crochet. 3 single crochet. And then again a split spike into the same stitch that we made the first split spike into. Pull the loop up, close like a normal single crochet, and then working directly into the corner. Okay, like that. So you see that we split this single crochet. And remember that this stitch now, the last single crochet and the first here, they count as worked, so we kind of skip them, but we work over them. And then we work the next stitch in the one that's following. So repeat and close, and we'll meet in round 5. Before you start round 5, just make sure that there is no extra single crochet that is sneaked in, only the corners, then the split, 3 single crochet, split, spike, then the corner, there is no extra, split, 3 single crochet, split, spike, corner, split, 3 single crochet, split. It's very important because it's easy to forget that we worked over the last single crochet and to make one. I do admit that I did that a few times. That's how I know that it's very important to make sure that you don't work an extra stitch in there. So to start round 5, again we use the chain. We do make a chain 1, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet into the chain 2 corner space from the previous round. And always make sure that you find the first stitch of the round. For round 5, we start with a single crochet in the back loop only, and then 2 single crochet. And our next stitch is a split spike plus 0 minus 4. That means we go 4 rounds down from the next stitch. 1, 2, 3, and 4 rounds down. So we're working into round 1 again. We are in round 5. Minus 4, we work into the same stitch from round 1 that already contains our split spike plus 1 minus 3. Plus 2 minus 3, sorry. So we go into the same space. Pull the yarn through. Make sure to find the next stitch. Just hold it a little bit so that you can find it easier or more easily when you continue. So we worked over this stitch, and this will be our next stitch. 2 single crochet and single crochet in the back loop only. And then the corner. I'll do it one more time. corner. Make sure to find the first stitch, 1 single crochet in the back loop only, 2 single crochet, and the split spike stitch +0 -4 will be worked into the same one in round 1 that already contains the split spike +2 -3 from the previous round, in order to make it easier for you to find the next stitch afterwards. So we work over this stitch, and this will be the next, so you could put in a stitch marker. It'll make it easier. Grab the yarn and pull it up to the height of this loop and finish like a normal single crochet. So now we've marked the next stitch and we just work into that. 2 single crochet and 1 single crochet into the back loop only of the next stitch. So in this round, in round 5, you will have 9 stitches on each side. Just continue around the last 2 sides. Remember to skip the chain 1 and slip stitch directly into the first single crochet of the round, and we'll be together again for round 6. In the next round, at the end of the next round, it will be super easy to mistake this back loop, the free front loop from the last stitch we made in round 5, with the chain 1 or the next stitch that is underneath. So make sure you find the right free front loop, that is the free front loop that's left over when we make the single crochet in the back loop only in round 5. So in preparation for round 7, you could put stitch markers in each of those free front loops that are left when we made a single crochet into the back loop only in round 5. So these are the free front loops of stitches from round 4. That's the stitch we made in round 4, and the free front loop is the stitch belongs to the stitch we made in round 4. And you can mark those with stitch markers if you want to. So in round 6, we just single crochet all the way around in each stitch, starting with a chain 1, single crochet, chain 2 into the corner, and then single crochet all the way around. You see, in preparation for round 7, I have put stitch markers into the free front loops from round 4, so that they will be easier to see and find in round 7. But round 6, as I said, is just single crochet across, 1 single crochet in each stitch. You will have 11 stitches on each side at the end of round 6. So that is 9 single crochet plus the 2 corner single crochets. So this corner and this corner single crochet plus 9 in between is 11 stitches on each side. Just finish that around on the other 3 sides. Remember to skip this chain 1 and slip stitch directly into the first single crochet of the round, and then we'll meet for round 7. We start round 7 like always with a chain 1, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet into the corner space, and then 5 single crochet. 3, 4, and 5. Our next stitch is a 2 together stitch, where the first leg is a treble in the front loop of the stitch 3 behind and 3 rounds below the next stitch. So that is from the next stitch 3 behind, 1, 2, 3. So this is the current round, this is 0, and 1, 2, 3. This front loop is part of the stitch 3 rounds below. It was left free when we did when we worked a single crochet in the back loop only in the following round, which was round 5. So now our first leg is a treble, so yarn over twice into this front loop. It's an unfinished treble actually, so we leave 2 loops on the hook. Yarn over twice again, and the second leg, again counting from the next stitch, goes 1, 2, 3 ahead and 1, 2, 3 rounds below, also into the free front loop of the stitch that was made 3 rounds ago in round 4. So that is the second leg, and then we have 3 loops on the hook, and we yarn over and pull through all 3. Now, because we made this stitch in the front, we have to skip the stitch behind this one, and we start with 5 single crochet with the first one in the next stitch. And then the single crochet into the corner, the first single crochet of the corner. In this round we've got 13 stitches. We have 5 single crochet plus this 2 together stitch plus 1 single crochet in each of those corners. That's 13 stitches. So just repeat this. You see, it's really easy. Repeat this on the other 3 sides. Slip stitch into the top of the first single crochet and meet me in round 8. Round 8 is very easy peasy again, because it is just single crochet in each stitch on each side. So for round 8 that will be 15 stitches per side, so 13 single crochet, and then 1 single crochet of each corner is 15 stitches per side, plus the chain 2 corner space. So just single crochet all the way around, slip stitch into the first stitch of the starting corner, and then we'll be together again for round 9. In preparation for round 9, I recommend to place a stitch marker in the following stitches. From the last corner you go down 1, 2, 3 rounds and mark the single crochet that was made into the chain 2 corner space, and also in the next 1, 2, 3. You will see that, of course, on the next side it will just be the neighboring stitch here, so that would be this one, for example. So if you want to use stitch markers to help you finding the stitches more easily, just go ahead and do this all the way around, and we'll be together to start round 9 after that. Okay, in round 9 we have an additional special stitch, which is the split spike stitch. So we start with chain 1, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet into the corner, and then 2 single crochet, and our next stitch is this split spike stitch plus 0 minus 3. What that means is that we make, starting to count from the next stitch, we make a split spike into the stitch that is 3 rounds below. 1, 2, 3. That is the stitch you marked with a stitch marker. And in order to split it, we do it just like we did in the beginning. So we go into this stitch, and we want to make sure that the hook is coming out underneath the third loop, or that bump on the back side. Then we pull up the yarn and finish like a normal single crochet. Now we've encompassed this stitch here, and the next stitch is the first of 2 single crochet. The next stitch is a front post treble plus 2 minus 2 X. That means that it's a normal front post treble, and it goes around this second leg only, the second leg of this 2 together stitch from round 7. Then we have to skip the stitch behind, which is this one, and we continue with a single crochet in the back loop only, and another single crochet. Now we have a front post treble minus 2 minus 2, so we go backwards 2 stitches back and 2 rounds below. And make sure that you insert your hook in front of the front post treble you just made, but underneath this leg, like this. So that, can you see that, like here? So that all this is encompassed, and you work this stitch behind this crossing, this front post treble crossing. What this does is that the stitch stays relatively flat, which is the effect we need. Then we skip a stitch behind, 2 single crochet, and then another split spike stitch. I'm taking out the hook, I'm taking out the stitch marker, insert the hook again into the stitch so that it is split, that the horizontal bars are split, and just work it as a normal single crochet. Then we have 2 single crochet left on this side, plus the single crochet into the corner. In round 9 you will have 17 stitches all together, and that includes the single crochet that is made in each of those corners. Just repeat this on all 3 sides. Slip stitch into the starting corner, into the first single crochet of the starting corner, and then we'll continue with round 10. In round 10 we single crochet in every stitch of the side, and this is 17 stitches plus the single crochets in each corner. 19 stitches altogether plus the chain 2 corner spaces per side. single crochet all the way around, slip stitch into the first single crochet of the starting corner, which I haven't started yet, and then we continue with round 11. In preparation for round 11, I recommend to place the stitch marker again into the stitch in round -3 in the corner. So 1, 2, 3 rounds down into the single crochet that was made in the chain 2 corner space on this side and the other, and all the way around if that's how you would like to work. 1, 2, 3. I also recommend to mark this free front loop that was made earlier, that is just between those two front post trebles. Okay, then when you've done that all the way around, if that's how you would like to work, then just do that and we'll be ready for round 11. Round 11 is a wonderful round with lots of action, things that are happening, different stitches. But first we start with a chain 1 and single crochet, chain 2, single crochet into the corner, and then 2 single crochet. Our first special stitch is one that you already know. It is the split spike stitch -3 +0 -3 into that stitch that we split. 1, 2, 3. There we go. So we go between the horizontal bars. Looks like I made this a bit tight. Now I've got it. Great. Then we pull it up to the height of the current round and finish the stitch as usual, normal single crochet. And another 2 single crochet. And then we've got a front post treble +2 -2. So a front post treble around the stitch that is 2 ahead, starting from the next stitch, 1, 2 ahead, and 1, 2 rounds below. That is the front post treble that we made in round 9. Just a normal front post treble. We skip the stitch behind, we skip 1 stitch, and then there will be 1 single crochet. Now there is another treble, this time in the front loop, +2 -3. So from the next stitch, 1, 2 ahead, and 1, 2, 3 rounds below. That's this front loop that we marked between those trebles. And we treble into this front loop, or into or on in this front loop. We skip the stitch behind. Now we've got 3 single crochet. Now we go backwards with a treble -2 -3. It's the same front loop that we worked in before. Now we can take out this stitch marker. We skip the stitch behind, 1 single crochet. And again, because we work symmetrically, we also go back and make a stitch that is mirroring this one, which is a front post treble -2 -2. From the next stitch, counting backwards, 1, 2, and down 2 rounds, 1, 2. So this front post treble. From round 9. Skip the stitch behind, 2 single crochet, a split spike into the stitch that we've marked, which is 3 rounds below the next stitch, and this is a stubborn one as well. Just have to prove that you're more stubborn. It's all good. Split spike stitch, and we've got 2 single crochet left on this side, plus the single crochet into the corner space. That will give us 21 stitches per side. You repeat this all the way around, slip stitch into the first single crochet of the starting corner, and we'll meet for preparation for round 12 stitch marker placement. In round 12 we're going to make 2 split spike stitches that are diagonal, and in order to find the stitch afterwards a little bit easier, we're going to mark the stitches. So the first goes into the 9th stitch, starting from starting to count from the corner, but that is the treble that we made into the front loop. So there's one in here, and then the 15th, which is the front post treble here. So it should be the 7th stitch from the opposite corner, so you can just check it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, so that's maybe easier to count. 7th stitch from the corner, respectively the front post treble top loops, and here the treble in front loop top loops. Then when you want to do that all the way around, then you're ready for round 12. We start round 12 like we start all rounds, with a chain 1, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet into the corner. Make sure you find the first stitch. Now we've got 7 single crochet. Six and 7. Our next stitch is a split spike, -2, -2. That means we go 2 stitches behind and 2 rounds below. This is the single crochet that is directly above our first split stitch, just here. We go in there, make sure to find the right place. Here we go. And then keep this relatively loose. Remember, we're going to cover or encompass this stitch, so it goes a bit diagonal. Just make sure that you've got enough room there to wiggle. And this is the next stitch. Stitch into with a single crochet. Just going to take this out now. So from this we another single crochet, so 2 single crochet altogether, then a single crochet in the back loop only, and then another 2 single crochet. So you know, because we work symmetrically, when we make a stitch backwards, now we make a stitch forward. So we go into the stitch 2 ahead, starting to count from the next stitch, 1, 2 ahead, 1, 2 rounds below. So that is the single crochet that is exactly above the split stitch again. Let me get this out of the way so I can check that I'm in the right place. Here we go, that should be the right place. Yes, it is. And now I'm just pulling that a little bit diagonal into the other directions or backwards. And you can see why we use this, because it helps us to just pull this stitch up a little bit, and then we can single crochet into this stitch here. And it's going to be the first of 7 single crochet towards the corner. Six and 7, and then last is the single crochet into the chain 2 corner space. So make sure that these are loose but not too loose. I'm just trying to adjust it a little bit, so that's what we want. These are going to be the sword handles. So we've got 23 stitches in this round, and that includes the corner single crochets. Repeat this on all the other 3 sides. Slip stitch into the first single crochet of the starting corner, and we'll get ready for round 13 then. We will be making split spike stitches in round 13 again. So in order to prepare for them, you can again just count 3 rounds down, 1, 2, 3, and then place stitch markers in the single crochets, which will be split for the split spike stitch. And here 1, 2, 3, and all the way around if you like to do that. But I also recommend to put a stitch marker into this free front loop from the previous round, or from 2 rounds below. Now when we made a single crochet in the back loop only in the previous round, so the free front loop of the stitch from 2 rounds below is now free, and we will need that in round 13. Also in round 14 we're going to work in 3rd loops only. So I highly recommend to have a look at the Outlanding Stitch Compendium. On page 11 you will find hints for rounds 13, 14, 19, 20 and 29, 30 of the border, where we're also going to work into the 3rd loop only. There are a few alternatives that you can do to make working in the 3rd loop easier. So have a look and check them out, and then decide how you want to proceed with a square and which way you want to choose for round 13. And then we'll be ready to get started. Alright, so let's get started with round 13. Chain 1, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet into the chain 2 corner space, and 2 single crochet to start with. Then we've got our split spike. And then another 2 single crochet. Now we've got a front post treble plus 2 minus 2, which is a front post treble around this stitch here. In order to work it though, we have to pull it through the split spike from the previous round, so it's easier to work around this stitch. And when we've done that, after that, we can just pull it back. We skip the stitch behind and continue with 4 single crochet. Our next stitch is a front post double crochet -1 -2 combined with a DC +1 -2 in the front loop. Those 2 stitches together. So let's go slowly. So the first part, the first leg of this stitch, is a front post double crochet around the treble that is 1 stitch behind and 2 rounds below of the next stitch. Counting from this stitch, 1 behind and 2 rounds below. That's the treble that we made 2 rounds earlier in round 11. So we keep 2 loops on the hook, yarn over again for the next leg, which is a DC in the front loop of the stitch that we marked, or the front loop that we marked. When we have 3 loops on the hook, we pull the yarn through all 3 loops. I'm going to take the stitch marker out. We skip the stitch behind. Here is the next stitch. We'll make 1 single crochet in the next stitch. Now we go back again into the same front loop with the DC in front loop leg. Keep 2 loops on the hook, yarn over again for the front post DC leg around the treble from 2 rounds below. When we have 3 loops on the hook, again we pull the yarn through all 3. Now we skip this stitch here. This is our next stitch, and that's the first of 4 single crochet. Now again we go with a front post treble -2 -2. We go around this stitch here, so we have to work under the split spike. We pull the front post treble through and then we work around it. We work a front post treble around it. Okay, and then we can just pull this back again. We skip the next stitch, we skip 1 stitch, 2 single crochet, a split spike again, pull up the loop, close as usual, and 2 more single crochet plus the single crochet into the corner. That's it. Again, a lot of action, but really not that bad. We've got the split spike, we've got a front post treble, we need front post treble. Well, it may be a front post treble if you forget to pull this one through. Then single crochet, then we've got this front post DC, 2 together, and then the DC front post DC. Then we've got single crochet again, and then a front post again around this front post treble, and another split spike. That's it for round 13. Just continue on the other sides, slip stitch into the first single crochet of the starting corner, and we will get ready for round 14. Round 14 is probably the most dreaded of all, well, including round 20, and if you are working the border, round 30, where we work into the third loops. Now there is also a tutorial in the stitch companion, in the outlining stitch companion, for the third loop, and I'm just going to show you a few. So we've got the front loop, back loop, and when we turn it, just a little bit to the side of the back loop is the third loop, and that's the one we work into in round 14. There will be 25 third loops, and then the corner stitches will be, of course, just go into the chain 2 corner spaces like we did in the beginning. So they will be the same. We'll have 25 third loop stitches plus 2 single crochet from each corner. Well, from one from each corner, so 2 altogether. So 27 stitches altogether. I think you get the hang of it. You will notice that with some of the stitches it will be easier, and if you have chosen to get, it will be easier to get into the third loop, and if you have chosen the method you want to do for round 13 and 14, I recommend that you do it for all squares, because it will have an influence on the height. If you, for example, choose to do HDCs instead of the single crochets here. So go with one alternative and use that for all your squares. In round 14, go around with the third loops, then slip stitch into the first single crochet of the starting corner, and we'll get ready for round 15. Round 15 is a round of simple repeats of single crochet and single crochet in the back loop only. So we start with the chain 1, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet into the corner, and the start of the repeat is a single crochet in the back loop only. We continue with 5 single crochet, 3, 4 and 5, and then a single crochet in the back loop only again, and then 3 single crochet. And that is our repeat. Single crochet in the back loop only, 5 single crochet, back loop only, 3 single crochet. So we start that again. Single crochet, so 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, then a single crochet in the back loop only, and then 3 single crochet. We continue the repeat, but we can't finish it. Single crochet in the back loop only, 5 single crochet, and then we are at the end of our side with 1 single crochet in the back loop only and the single crochet into the chain 2 corner space. That's the simple repeat. If you want to do that on all 3 sides, slip stitch into the first single crochet of the corner, and then we get ready for round 16. In preparation for round 16, we can put a stitch marker in the 3 front loops from round 14. So we had our first stitch last round was single crochet in the back loop only, which left the front loop from the stitch in round 14 free. So we can just mark those front loop stitches with stitch markers, and we will be working into those later on. So, and one last. So you can see I've already marked the fourth, because sometimes it's easy to mistake the chain here from the previous round with single crochet or with a free front loop. So I've already marked this one here. If you want to continue on the other three sides, you just do that, and we get ready for round 16. The repeat in round 16 is quite simple. It's just single crochet and a 2 together stitch. So after the single crochet, chain 2 single crochet into the corner space, we start our round with 4 single crochet. Then the next stitch is a treble, minus 3 minus 2 in front loop, treble, plus 3 minus 2 in front loop, 2 together. All that means is that we work a treble leg, so the first leg is a treble leg, into the front loop, in the front loop of the stitch that is 1, 2, 3 stitches behind and 1, 2 rounds below, which is the first we marked. That's the first front loop we marked. So an unfinished treble. Keep 2 loops on the hook, then yarn over twice again. From the next stitch we count 1, 2, 3 ahead, and 1, 2 rounds below. That's the second front loop we marked. The second leg goes in. Oops, I've lost the yarn over. The second leg goes in this front loop. Then we've got 3 loops on the hook, and we pull through all 3 loops. Now you can see it like that. So we skip the stitch behind, and then we work 9 single crochet. Five, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Now we do the same again. A treble, 2 together, with the first leg in the front loop of the stitch 3 behind and 2 rounds below, and the second leg a treble in the front loop of the stitch 3 ahead and 2 rounds below. So that is our treble 2 together stitch. We skip the stitch behind and continue again 9 single crochet starting from the next stitch. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And we do this one more time. A treble with the first leg in front loop of the stitch 3 behind and 2 rounds below, and the second leg a treble in the front loop of the stitch 3 ahead and 2 rounds below. taking out the stitch markers, skip the stitch behind, and we end with 4 single crochet. Plus the single crochet in the chain 2 space of the corner. And that's round 16. Just repeat on the other 3 sides. Slip stitch into the single crochet of the starting corner, into the first single crochet of the starting corner, and we get ready for round 17. Round 17 is an easy peasy one, because again we will be doing just single crochet. So in each stitch around we work 1 single crochet. That will be 31 single crochet plus 1 single crochet from each of the corner. Altogether that will be 33 stitches per side plus the chain 2 corner space. When you've done all 4 sides, single crochet around, slip stitch into the first single crochet of the corner, and then we get ready for round 18. In round 18 we've got a few new special stitches. So we start with a chain 1, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet into the chain 2 corner space. Then our next stitch is a single crochet. Actually it's 3 single crochet. And then we make a front post treble plus 3 minus 2x, which means we treble around the second leg only of this treble 2 together. Then we skip the stitch behind and start with a single crochet in the next stitch. It's the first of 5. And now our next special stitch is a front post treble minus 3 minus 2, where we work the stitch like we did earlier, yarn over twice, and then we go behind all those stitches so that we insert the hook behind all those stitches. Yarn around and make a treble. Then again we skip the stitch behind and continue with 3 single crochet starting in the next stitch. And we repeat this. A treble, front post treble around the second leg only of the treble 2 together. Skip 1 stitch, 5 single crochet, and then the front post treble minus 3 minus 2. So you insert your hook behind all the other stitches so that it's behind. This keeps the stitch relatively flat, also because we did not work a dcbb, which usually brings out the pattern. We want this to be a bit more flat. So we skip the stitch again, 3 single crochet. And one more time. Yarn over twice, treble around the second leg only of the treble 2 together. skip 1 stitch, 5 single crochet, and then the front post treble, around all 3 stitches. Skip 1 stitch and finish with 3 single crochet plus the single crochet in the chain 2 corner space. This will give you 35 stitches per side, and that includes the single crochet into the corner space on each side. So 33 stitches between the corners. Repeat this all the way around, slip stitch into the first single crochet of the starting corner, and we get ready for round 19 with a stitch marker placement. In preparation for round 19, we're going to place a stitch marker in every front post -3, -2. So that was the 2nd, the 4th, and the 6th special stitch that we make. In the next round, we're going to make HDC rounds, and these will help us to find the next stitch a bit more easily. Also, if you decided to use an alternative way of making rounds 13 and 14, apply this method here as well, and take care to use the same method for all squares and all borders around the squares. You will find the hints for rounds 13, 14, 19, 20 and 29, 30 of the border in the Outlanding Stitch Companion for these alternatives. So if you want to do this all the way around with a stitch placing a stitch markers, then just do that, and we'll be together for round 19. In round 19, we're going to make a HDC round that is diagonal. We start with a chain 1, then a single crochet, chain 2, single crochet into the chain 2 corner space, and there will be a repeat, and the repeat is 5 single crochet. So we have 2, 3, 4, and 5. And the next special stitch is a HDC around -1, -2. Starting from the next stitch, we go 1 behind and 1 2 rounds below. So you see we have 1 stitch that was skipped in a previous round. We yarn over and we insert the hook into this stitch. We'll pull the yarn through and keep this fairly loose, but not too loose, just a bit loose, and finish the HDC. Now we skip the next stitch, and then we make 3 single crochet. Or we skip the stitch that will be encompassed by the HDC around. This is the stitch that we need to skip next when we make the next HDC around, and this is the next stitch we work into. So first we do the HDC around, counting from the next stitch. We go 1 ahead and 1 2 rounds below. Again, that is the stitch that was skipped in a previous round. 2 rounds below. So we HDC, keep it quite loose, and then our next stitch, just pull a bit on the stitch marker, and our next stitch is a single crochet that will be made into this stitch with a stitch marker. We started with 5 single crochet. We had that HDC around -1, -2, then 3 single crochet, and then the HDC around +1, -2, and another 5 single crochet. And 5. So you will see the first and the last of those 5 single crochets will always be in a front post treble. Here the front post treble that was going behind, and then the front post treble that was going ahead. Then the next stitch is again the HDC around. Keep it a bit loose, skip the stitch, and then 3 single crochet. Three. And then again we go ahead with the HDC around. Find that free stitch that was skipped. Keep this to the side. HDC around, and then the first of 5 single crochets goes into the front post treble. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then again HDC around, skip the stitch, this will be covered. 1, 2, 3, and then the HDC ahead, +1, -2. And the last 5 single crochets, four and 5, and a single crochet into the chain 2 corner space. So that's it. It's quite simple, and see, this is the HDC is a smaller version of this split spike stitch. So these represent swords as well, with those handles like these, just in a smaller version. In round 19 you will have 37 stitches on each side, which include each of the corner single crochets. Repeat this all the way around on the other 3 sides. Slip stitch into the first single crochet of the starting corner, and then we will be ready for round 20, which is the last round of the square, respectively the first round of the border. In order to make an invisible join, you make the last stitch into the round. In this case it was a single crochet, then you cut the yarn, which I have already done, and you pull the yarn end through. Then we thread a darning needle with the tail, with the end of the yarn. Then instead of slip stitching into the first single crochet of the starting corner, we skip the chain 1 and this first stitch, and we grab the 2 top loops of the first chain of the chain 2 corner space. Then from front to back pull the yarn through, and then we go back in the same stitch where we came from, grab the back loop and the 3rd loop. Then we pull through, and then we just pull it as tight as the other stitches. Now what we just did here was we created an artificial stitch which sits exactly above the stitch below, and then we just weave in the ends by going in up and down, or how you usually work when you weave in ends. I like to use a few of those loops here, change direction, use a few loops there, change direction again, going up and down, maybe one more just for demonstrating purposes, and then a few in the same direction. And maybe that's sufficient for now. There we go. That should be enough. Then we cut the yarn off. And now we have an invisible join in the corner. Invisible joins in the corner need to be made differently than invisible joins where you have a normal stitch following. So that is how you make an invisible join into a corner space. Round 20 of the border can be worked either as the last round of the square or the first round of the border. I'm choosing to add a border to this square, and I'm going to make this in a different color. So I have already made an invisible join to finish this round, and I'm going to add the new color with a standing single crochet. In order to do that, I create a slip knot, just a normal slip knot. I insert the hook into the chain 2 corner space, pull the yarn through, and pull the yarn through both loops on the hook. So this is already my first single crochet of the starting corner. Now continue as usual with a chain 2 and another single crochet in the corner. Because I have this starting single crochet, I don't need a chain 1, which I can't do because I've cut off the yarn anyway, which means this single crochet is the start, and chain 2 single crochet in the chain 2 corner space is the beginning of this round. Now round 20 is worked like round 14 in the 3rd loop only, single crochet all the way around in the 3rd loops only. If you have chosen a different way than making single crochets in round 13, or you work round 14 differently, you should apply the same to round 20 as well. If not, we just make the single crochet in the third loop, which sometimes can be a bit harder than working a normal single crochet, or for example working a single crochet in the back loop only, but it gives you that special effect of the it's almost like a knitting effect. You see, you have those both loops, and it creates some kind of edge and a frame for this part of the pattern, and later on also for the border. If this is your preferred choice, working single crochets in the third loop, just work it all the way around for round 20, and then slip stitch into the first single crochet of the starting corner, or if you want to continue the border, or make an invisible join if you just wanted round 20 to be a different color. Make an invisible join, and then your square will be completely finished. If you want to join me for the border, there will be a link in the text below the video. If round 20 is your last round, congratulations, your square 7, the Duel, is now finished. I really hope you enjoyed making square 7 and that you will join us for the other squares as well. We've got 12 squares in season 1, and there will be another 8 plus the big Claire square in season 2. And maybe I'll see you there. Bye for now.